Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee, and today I have some really tough content for you. We have to have a conversation, and it's not going to be an easy one. I want to preface this by saying if you don't feel like you're in the right frame of mind to hear some really hard truths, then maybe now is not the right time to watch this video. I don't care about the views. I genuinely care about helping people and spreading this information that I've learned, but I also struggle with my own mental health issues, and I don't want to put too much on you if you're not in a good frame of mind, because this is one of those things where once you know it, you can't unknow it, and this is life-changing information that I want to share with you. It's been life-changing for me, at least. So there's your forewarning. Go ahead and turn this off now if you're not in the right frame of mind. Otherwise, I'm gonna jump right in. I was recently turned on to a book called Deep Nutrition by another YouTuber who actually just mentioned it in passing. And it's so funny to me how those little passing comments can be so life-changing for other people. And that kind of thing has really validated this YouTube journey for me because not only did this YouTuber change my life, but they've changed the lives of some of my family members, some of my friends, and my future children. So, that's huge. This platform, even with only a few followers, can be massively impactful. So this YouTuber mentioned this book, Deep Nutrition, by Shanahan. In doing online research about this topic, I discovered the book Nourishing Traditions. Many of you may already be familiar with this book. It is written by Fallon and Mary G. Enig, and the information is very similar. They discuss very similar topics. And both of these books basically talk about why we need to get back to a traditional food diet. The standard American diet that we're consuming right now, in many ways, is incredibly detrimental to our health. But in one particular way that I really want to discuss with you today. We're going to come back to these books, but I just wanted to introduce them because these two books are what really changed my life and opened my eyes in a way that they can never be shut again. Now, you guys, if any of you have this bottle in your kitchens or your pantries, you need to throw this in the trash immediately. This item is vegetable oil. And it's not just vegetable oil. It is any seed oil. So that can be canola oil, soy oil, grapeseed oil, cottonseed oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, pure vegetable oil, as I said. And this also includes any type of margarine. So those country crock tubs of butter at the store, I can't believe it's not butter. Any of those products fall into the same category. These are seed oils. And you guys, I've always known about these products. I have a bottle of this in my house. This is what I would put into brownies when I made brownies. There are many recipes that call for vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, things like that. This is a very common product to fry things in at home. If you were gonna make fried chicken in your skillet, it would say to use vegetable oil or canola oil. These products are the norm, and many people have them in their pantry or their kitchens. I am not going to delve very deeply into the science because if I did, this video would take hours, and it requires a level of understanding that's a bit beyond me. I grasp it and can understand it in terms of me believing it and feeling good about it, but I don't have a firm enough grasp on all of it to be able to relay it to you, and I don't want to do a disservice to the information. So before I talk any further, I want to say that if you want scientific evidence of why the things I'm about to say are true, please read this book. Shanahan, who is a doctor, does an amazing job of breaking it down to the cellular and molecular level of precisely what is happening in our bodies, in different parts of our bodies, when we consume seed oils. So please read this book, do your own research. I am not going to delve very deeply into it, but know that the things that I am coming to you with today have been proven, have studies behind them, have research behind them, and are very well explained in this book and also in Nourishing Traditions. Although I would say Nourishing Traditions covers it in more of a summary, whereas, I mean, this book is dedicated to describing the interactions happening in the body. Vegetable oil, seed oils, are incredibly detrimental to the body. Understatement of the century. I can't even put into words. It's disgusting what I have learned about seed oils. So I will just quickly summarize. Back in the 1950s, 1960s, a guy by the name of Ancel Keys came out and basically said that saturated fats, red meat, butter, things that are normal that we've been eating, are causing heart disease. And as many of you may know, heart disease has been a leading cause of death in the United States for a long, long, long time. And this Ancel Keys tried to say that this was being caused by the consumption of fatty animal products, like I said, butter and red meats, raw full fat milk, and things like that. So he was kind of the first one to say we as Americans need to follow a low fat diet. And then he was actually shot down several times by many boards and things that said that's definitely not true. But the margarine industry heard about him and picked him up and basically said, hey, let's work together, because if you're pushing a non-fat diet, then we can come in and say, hey, here's a low-fat fat option that you can cook with to replace these full-fat options like butter. And so they kind of teamed up and started pushing this propaganda, and then the American Heart Association got on board because they are funded greatly by these seed oil corporations, and it kind of all went downhill from there. And so over the course of a couple generations now, this was the 50s, 60s, so now we're, the 3 generations. So like, let's say the 50s, 60s are like my grandparents, and then we've got my parents, and then we've got me. So I'm like the 3rd generation of adult consumers who are being sold this propaganda. So we're many generations in now, and I've just been raised always hearing that, like, in order to lower your cholesterol, you need to lower your fat consumption. No red meats, no steak, no butter, no things like that. And you guys, that is not true. And here's the thing. This is what's so wild for me. I've always been kind of a distrusting person, and I'm not entirely sure where that comes from. I question everything. I hardly ever take anything at face value. I don't like the feeling of being fooled. I don't like the feeling of being used as a pawn. It's that none of that ever settles with me. It's very hard for me to remain ignorant on things, and so I've always been a little distrusting of. I don't want to go as far as to say our government, because I don't want to be like super fear-mongering and like that person right now. But I will say that in discovering this ginormous hoax that we've all fell under, this gigantic scam that we've all fallen victim to, I'm not surprised. It does not surprise me. Let's put it that way. We live in this is a consumerism nation, and this nation's run by the dollar, correct? These bigwigs, these corporations, they're run by money. They care about money. They're very greedy. So to hear that the margarine industry took this Ancel Keys guy and kind of came up with this plan, this propaganda to push this low-fat, is better for you, consume these products, they're better for you, this agenda, it does not surprise me. So before I even got deeply into this research, I was kind of already sold, but by nature, I like to understand things. I don't want to just hear that and go, oh, that sounds good, sure, yeah, and just move on with life. I want to know. So that's why I recommend this book so much, because it went from, yeah, that sounds good, to, no, this is irrefutable. Like, it would take a lot for somebody to prove otherwise, the information that is shared in this book. Now, I want to say that going beyond just what I'm saying right now, I want you to kind of take a step back and look around and see the amount of illness and the amount of sickness, the amount of disease that is surrounding us here in the United States. Maybe that's a little easier for me to say because I work in the hospital, so I'm surrounded by it all the time, but it has increased dramatically. It's not so much if you're going to get sick, it's when you're going to get sick and how often you're going to get sick. I have these patients who come in and their chart, their list of surgeries, their list of ailments are pages and pages long. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world have you had this many things happen to you? Like, this is not just like unlucky, they work a dangerous job, they've broken some bones. Like, they are not well. Their bodies are not operating the way that they were meant to operate. And that's because we are many generations deep into this seed oil culture. The standard American diet has been formed around this scam, this hoax, and the consumption of seed oils is affecting us down to our DNA. It is literally changing the DNA that our children are born with. So I'm 2 generations into people who have consumed seed oils. And I actually asked my mom, we were on the texting, and I was asking her all these questions. And I was like, can you tell me about your diet growing up? Can you tell me about the diets of grandma and grandpa? What did they eat? Did they consume? Did you guys eat out a lot? Did they do a lot of home cooking? Can you tell me about my great-grandparents' diet? Thankfully, we're German. On my mom's side of the family, numerous family members come from Germany, and they did still do a lot of traditional cooking. So at least I can trace it back and find out who the last people in my ancestry were cooking whole foods traditionally. So that makes me feel a little bit better, but it's terrifying. I mean, it's very scary. So without giving you any of the science, please read the book. I want to say a few statements. Animal products are not what's causing heart disease, at least not largely. Obviously, everything needs to be consumed in moderation, and you should not be overindulging in anything. And overindulging in anything can cause your body to react to it in a negative way, or could wreak some havoc in your body. So I want to put that statement out there as well. But seed oil, the damage that it does far outweighs the damage that animal products cause in your body. And I want to, and this is a really like layman's way of explaining it, but basically when we consume animal products, healthy fats, and when I say that, I'm also including avocado oil and coconut oil, but we'll get to all that in a second. Your body knows what to do with it. Those are natural products. And something that she says in the book that I really like, nature does not create fake food. Nothing that comes from nature is fake. It is real. It is of the earth. It is healthy. Again, without overindulging. It is healthy. Your body knows what to do with it. So when you consume those things and they go through the digestive system and end up in your bloodstream, your body knows where to put them. It knows where things should stick and where things should not. And there's so like a huge scientific explanation behind all of that. But again, layman's terms, your body knows where to put those things. It knows what things to keep and what things to send out in your waste. It does a really good job of taking those healthy of the earth products and using them the way they were intended to be used. Seed oils are not healthy. They are not of the earth. It is not the same as drinking whole milk out of the udder. It's not the same as making butter from whole, cream from a cow or a goat or what have you, and turning that into a fat that you can cook with, and you can saute potatoes or whatever. That it's not taking that product and doing the same thing with it in your body. The vegetable oils are composed primarily of polyunsaturated fatty acids, often referred to as PUFAs. And those are an issue because they react really easily with oxygen. And actually, I want to read this paragraph to you because this is really excellent. And this is a great example of how they have stretched the truth and morphed it in a way that it fits their agenda. So I'm going to read this to you. When I advise my patients to avoid vegetable oils, they often tell me that they only use canola oil, as if it were somehow exempt. I can't blame them for thinking this. The canola industry goes to great lengths to present their product as heart healthy, and the American Heart Association plays right along. they claim that canola oil is rich in anti-inflammatory omega-3 essential fats. And there's a grain of truth to that claim. There's just one problem. Omega-3 is a PUFA, which means it is easily distorted when exposed to heat. And since the omega-3 in canola seeds has 3 places for oxygen to react, it's really, really reactive. Canola oil still in the seed may indeed be full of omega-3, but factory processed canola, even organic expeller pressed, contains mutated, oxidized, heat-damaged versions of once healthy fats. Canola consumption has been shown to cause the same health problems as the rest of the vegetable oils. All right, I'm getting carried away with having this book open because I just want to read the whole thing to you, but I digress. Seed oils are a type of fat that cause damage all over the body, but most notably in the digestive system, in your heart, and in your brain. I want you to make a switch. If you have vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soy oil, grapeseed oil, any of these oils in your pantry or in your kitchen, you need to throw them away. And there are excellent replacements out there for them. So this is an easy switch. I use avocado oil. I use olive oil. The only thing is you have to, with both of these, you need to get the good one, because if you get the cheap ones, they're usually cut with the bad stuff and you don't even know it. So you need to get like a really nice from a source that you trust. But olive oil, avocado oil, I love coconut oil. I actually have a half-gallon glass jar of it coming from Azure here in a couple weeks when my order comes through. Coconut oil, this is my last little bit of organic grass-fed butter from a local farmer, so I need to get some more of this. This is the last little bit. And if you don't have easy access to that, then at my local grocery store, I got organic, non-GMO, pasture-raised butter from Organic Valley. And I really like Organic Valley's products. Here I have another product. This is from another local farmer here in my area. I met him in a grocery store parking lot, gave him 20 bucks, and he gave me a bunch of leaf lard. Leaf lard is the fat surrounding the organs of a pig, and this has not been rendered, but once I've done the rendering process, I will be able to use that to cook with. I'll be able to put it in baked goods, and it is a natural source of fat that you can use in the kitchen that doesn't have any of the ridiculous, nasty ickiness that is in seed oils that damages your body literally from the inside out. And so that's what I have for you here today in terms of that switch. Here's the problem, because this all seems really doable and really easy, right? Here's the issue, and this has been really hard for me. Seed oils are in literally everything. It is disgusting. So the reason I know this is because in both of these books, Deep Nutrition and Nourishing Traditions, they talk about the damaging effects of seed oils on fetuses, on babies through breast milk, and then also through their own consumption, small children. Babies and children are incredibly sensitive to the damaging effects of seed oils. And of course they would be. I mean, they're small and young, and their tissues are immature, and their systems are immature and very new. And so they don't have a lot of the same defense mechanisms built that we do to fend off the negative effects of the seed oils. And so they are prone to illness and disease and defects and things like that. And she even says in the book, there is no other time in a human being's life where they're more susceptible to this damage than when they're in the womb, when they are a fetus. If the mother is consuming seed oils, the damage that can be done to the fetus is terrible. And that's how these things are literally becoming generational. So a lot of the illnesses and issues that are mentioned are birth defects, things to do with the spinal cord and the brain and things like that, but also asthma, anxiety, depression, autism, learning disabilities, ADHD, ADD, and many, many more. Migraines, headaches, she lists so many. There's a ton. But those are the ones that she repeats many times throughout the book. And so I, as a almost 30-year-old woman who have not had any of her children yet, I've made the choice to cut seed oil out completely. And I'm in the process of healing my own body and getting myself on the right track for the day when I do finally get to have my first child. And so I've made the choice to cut them out until I'm completely done having my children. And that is what kind of led me to discover that seed oil is in everything. So I reached out to some of the really important people in my life and I said, hey, just so you know, I've made this choice. By the way, in case one of those important people are watching this, I have not reached out to everybody yet. So if you're watching this before I've had a conversation with you, hey, I've cut out seed oils, which sounds easy because, oh, well, that's fine. Just cook at home with avocado oil instead of vegetable oil. No, you don't understand. It is in everything. You can't go to the grocery store and buy anything that does not contain seed oils. And this is where I start to get very upset because they have built an empire around this lie. This is the scam of the century, you guys. Because if you go into any grocery store and go to the areas of the grocery store that are marketed as healthy, you are going to be consuming products that are in no way healthy for you. Mind you, something that I haven't mentioned yet because there's so much information, it's hard for me to deliver this to you in a very organized way. Seed oils also, in many ways, hinder the absorption of other healthy things that a product may contain. So if you're consuming something marketed as healthy and it contains seed oils, there may be other healthy things, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, what have you, in that product that your body's not even going to be able to properly absorb or do the right thing with because of the way seed oil scrambles everything in your body in the way that it reacts. And so if you are vegan, if you are gluten-free, if you are dairy-free, if you are on a low-fat diet, if you're on trying to do a heart-healthy diet, if you're whatever you're trying to do. I have somebody that I work with who's trying to care for her kidneys, pancreas, gallbladder. And so she's on this particular diet. And I'm like, I just want to scream it from the rooftops. If you're consuming seed oils, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do. It's only going to exacerbate issues that it may have been the cause of in the first place. And I get particularly upset about one circumstance. I have a friend and he is vegan. He was told by his doctor, he has some stuff going on with his heart, and he was told by his doctor that he has to get on a vegan diet or else he could potentially have a heart attack, die. And so he, as a young man in his 30s, cut out all animal products. He's completely vegan. And in doing so, they forced him into this vegan culture. And guys, I'm here to tell you, not hating on vegans. Please, if there are many good reasons to be vegan, and if you're vegan, go for it. I'm not hating on vegans. I'm just saying that many products that are marketed towards vegans contain seed oils because they're vegan, and they're vegan. And so the vegan industry has ran with that, and their products are just soaked in seed oils. And seed oils react even worse in the heart than regular fats do. And so it made me sick. I literally immediately texted him. I said, please, for the love of God, read this book. I'm not going to give you any health advice. I'm not a doctor. Please educate yourself and read this book. I'm begging you, because it made me realize that his doctor telling him to do this is actually setting him up for disaster faster than if he had just cut back a little bit on some of the things. He doesn't need to eat the fried chicken wings, and he doesn't need to have, cheesy burgers 3 nights a week, whatever, like a normal 30-year-old man who has a high fat diet, and he just needed to kind of eat more leafy greens and cut some of that out, and his results would have been much better than cutting all animal products out and converting to a diet heavy in seed oils. And it scares me for him, but not my responsibility. All I can do is arm with knowledge, and it's up. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I'm moving on from that. But anyway, my point is, people who want to do better and want to be health conscious and want to take care of themselves are still being lied to, and they're still being led to these products that are gonna do more harm than good. And that makes me very angry. And it makes me angry because I am a young adult female. I have a college education. I've always been somewhat interested in health. I have been in sports. I was originally in school to be a teacher before I decided to do x-ray. And so I took early childhood education classes, which many of them included nutrition. I have a health degree, and I am just now at 28 years old learning about this. I've never heard this before. It's not even one of those things that they like tell you and you kind of roll your eyes. Like, I have never ever heard that seed oils are bad for you. I've never heard that you should not consume vegetable oil. I've never heard that canola oil can cause heart attacks and strokes. I've never been told any of this. I used to work on the stroke team, and I actually caught my doctor in the hallway the other day. When I say my doctor, the doctor that I worked with on the stroke team. And I was like, hey, did you know any of this? Like, are you familiar with this? And even he was like, no, what was the name of that book? Like, and so it's astounding to me, astounding how well this lie has been hidden and camouflaged from the masses. I'm still processing it, to be honest with you, and it's been very difficult for me on an emotional level. I don't even feel like pesticides didn't even have this big of an impact on me. Because remember, we did those videos, and I told you guys about the danger of pesticides, and I gave you a bunch of research and backed it up with a bunch of studies, and we talked about that, and that was hard for me, but that's not as quiet. I feel like everybody knows about pesticides, at least to some extent. You've at least heard that they're bad for you, right? Like, you've heard that somewhere. You know about organic. There are no grocery store labels saying free of harmful seed oils. That's not a thing anywhere. And I at first I felt really betrayed, and then I just felt angry. I think the thing that is the hardest for me to accept and to swallow is the realization that this country does not care about our health at all. It is only interested in profiting off of our illness. That's been said before. I've heard that. I did not quite fully understand that. Okay, sorry, I just happened to get a phone call right at like the climax of this conversation. So I had to like quell the anger and put on my phone voice for a second. But anyway, anger, frustration, betrayal, got to get the juices flowing again. I've heard it said before that they don't care about our health and that they want to profit off of our illness. That's been said. It always sounded a little conspiracy theory to me, and I know you may not believe this at this point in the video, but it's very important to me that I not stoop to the conspiracy theory level, at least not with the way that I spout off about things. I don't want to be like, the sky is falling, without firmly believing that the sky is falling. I need evidence. I need to understand the science behind it. I'm religious, I'm spiritual, and there's a place for all of that, but there's also a place for the science. And I so appreciate both Catherine Shanahan, Sally Fallon, Mary Enig, Weston Price, everybody, and there are many others. I've only just been recently introduced to this. There are so many people out there who have done the work and done the studies and done the research and have written the books and are trying to sound the alarm, and they're being squashed beneath the giant ugly foot of the industries that are profiting off of our illness. And in so many ways, you guys, it's not just the occasional ER visit or the occasional prescription. I mean, in so many ways, they're profiting. Every time that we get a cold when our immune system doesn't rise up, and anytime we have a child born with a condition that they will now need to be medicated for the rest of their life, or they need therapy, or they need this or that. Every time that, some people are on their second, third, fourth heart attack, stroke, what have you, every time an aneurysm ruptures, every time somebody discovers that they have a gastrointestinal disorder, which there are plenty of those out there. Every time somebody needs an MRI, every time someone needs an x-ray or a CT scan, every time somebody goes to the ER with chest pain or blood in their stool, or there are so many ways that they're profiting off of our suffering. And even when we have the best intentions and we genuinely try, we exercise, we don't smoke, we don't overindulge in alcohol, we don't overindulge in sugar, we don't overindulge in fried foods. Guys, a great example of that is one of my favorite lunch-to-go lunch items is sushi. I love raw sushi. Like, I'm talking rice, seaweed, raw salmon, raw tuna, sesame seeds. Like, I really think I'm doing my body good. And I went and my grocery store sells prepackaged sushi, but it's not what you think it is. We have Wegmans. If you're not familiar with Wegmans, Wegmans is the bomb diggity, and they have actual sushi makers who come and make it like right in front of you. It's like fresh sushi, vegetable oil. And I was almost in tears because Tom and I, it was his birthday. We went out to get some takeout for him, and I had already decided to cut out seed oils, and I couldn't have anything. There was no takeout that I could have. So we went to Wegmans, and I was going to get some sushi, and I read the ingredients, and I almost cried because it has vegetable oil. I don't know if it's in the rice or what. I don't know in what capacity it's in there. Sushi, you guys. And so I ended up going to a place called Core Life. I'm not sure if they are all over the US or just in the north. I'm not sure, but we have a place called Core Life. It is a health food takeout place, very expensive. And I ordered a tuna poke bowl, and it had a lot of really fresh stuff like cabbage and things like that. I felt really good about it. It had a ginger soy dressing, and I couldn't find the ingredients for the dressings online. So I went in to pick it up, and they actually had a poster in there that listed their dressings with all of the ingredients. And they listed it in a way where it sounded really good because I'm trying to think, for example, well, the ginger soy dressing, it would say organic cold pressed canola oil as one of the ingredients. And I'm like, that's not a health food. That is not a health food. How can I make this clear? That is not a health food. That is going to do more damage than good. I don't know how else to say it. The heat that it takes, even when it's cold pressed, there's still a level of heat involved that damages the oils and makes them a mutated version of their original cells. They're still not good for you. And so I ended up getting a balsamic vinaigrette, which did not mesh with those flavors at all. But all it was balsamic vinegar and olive oil. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. It's just, it was already difficult enough coming to you and saying, hey, pesticides are bad for you and you need to eat organic. I followed that up with a video saying, here are the brands that I trust and I can advocate you purchasing from. I had settled on a few items that were organic that I really enjoyed, one of which being a brand called Red's. They had mostly organic cheese burritos, and I really, really enjoyed them and felt at least a little better about consuming them. I ran to my freezer and looked at them, and they had vegetable oil, and I said, my pool of foods that I could eat went from here to now here. Like, I can't hardly go to the grocery store. There's very little available to me. The good news is, now that I have told you the sky is falling, there are still options. And I'm really, really very grateful that I learned about this the way that I did, because I started with pesticides and was able to make a lot of changes and process that and feel good about that before I learned about seed oils. So I had already shrunk the number of things that I could consume quite a bit. So now that I'm shrinking it even more, it's not quite as dramatic as if I started here and went down to here. So I'm very grateful for that. But all this has done for me is reiterated the importance of channels like this, of channels like Roots and Refuge, of channels like Acre Homestead, of channels like the Elliott Homestead, of channels like That 1870 Homestead and Whispering Willow Farm and so many others. There are so many. It's important because these are people who are living real lives, real everyday lives, just like you, who are trying to teach skills that are going to fill in those gaps, that take my number of things that I can consume to here, to here, to here, to here. And the fact that I know how to make my own bread and I don't have to rely on the grocery store for bread products, and the fact that I do have access to so many healthy fats that I'm able to cook with, and the fact that I kind of already know how to garden and I have things canned up and preserved on my pantry shelves. All of those things can help me rest easy and take this bit by bit, one step at a time, and just continue to incorporate things as best I can. So it's been okay for me. I have started to make changes. The leaf lard, for example, that's brand new for me. There are many other changes that I've made that I don't necessarily want to mention right now because I've got separate videos planned for those. But guys, it's doable. And so I followed up my pesticide video with a video about brands that I can endorse. There really are not many. If I do that, it's going to be a short video. Purchase from Azure, and here's my big piece of advice to end this. Purchase whole ingredients, because you're not going to find vegetable oil as often in whole ingredients. And that was kind of my advice for pesticides too. The more that you cook at home from scratch, the less you need these other products. And I want to say that a huge piece of this puzzle is why you should care. And I can't create that for you. You have to come to that on your own. I care because I have not had any of my children yet, and I care about their health very much. I am actually very emotionally attached to my future children and think about them often. And so I feel like learning about seed oils and the damage that they're doing to not just me, but them, and how my health so directly impacts their health, has been all I've needed to say, we're cutting this out 100%. Tom hasn't 100% cut it out yet, especially when he's out of the home. Like today, he purchased, on Fridays, he eats lunch with his coworkers out somewhere. He's not thinking about those things. But I provide a strong 75% of the things that he's eaten. And I need him to be healthy to have healthy children too. So even he has had a lot of seed oil cut out of his diet. And so for me, that's my motivation. If you are past your childbearing years or you're done having your children, you should still care, because, and I wish I could show this to you and I could just take what I see in my brain and show it to you from working in the hospital. You should care. I don't want you to have strokes. I don't want you to have heart disease or heart attacks or anything having to do with the heart. I don't want you to have diabetes. I don't want you to have leaky gut or stomach cancer, colon cancer. I don't want you to have any of the things that can come from consuming seed oils and the damage that is done inside of your body with the consumption of seed oils. Guys, it's not worth it. And one thing that I have been able to accept that I find is very hard to accept, and I even had this with some of my coworkers when I was discussing this with them. Some of them have taken to it better than others. I get a lot of, well, we're all going to die someday. Well, I'm not going to stop eating what I want. We're all going to die someday. If this isn't what takes me down, it's going to be something else. That is a very short-sighted way of looking at things, and it's real easy to say that when those things are not yet happening to you. But we all work with the same patients and see how miserable and how much pain they're experiencing and how the quality of their life has been degraded. And I don't want that. And to bring it into the spiritual realm a little bit for you, because I haven't done that with this yet, God put us on this earth and He wants us to live full and happy, vibrant lives. He wants that for us so badly. And He has provided us everything that we need to do that. We don't need seed oils to enjoy our food. We've been able to find joy happiness and fulfillment from food, that's a gift. We didn't have to. He could have designed us to just need it for fuel, but he made it so that we can enjoy it, and we've been enjoying it for thousands of years. And now suddenly, since the 60s, and actually a little bit before that, but largely since then, we have been, largely eating foods that contain seed oils, and those foods are tasty, but they're not nourishing. And so that's half a promise. He has promised us, this full, vibrant, healthy, happy life, and has promised that we would have all of the things that we need to have that. But we, and not always by choice, as I have said, many of us are ignorant to this. How can I say this? When we consume these foods that are not healthy for us, we're not doing our part to see that promise fulfilled. And that's part of it. And that's a whole separate conversation. It doesn't just fall into your lap. Even though God made these promises, we still have to do our part to see them fulfilled. And that's true with so many things. And so when you take the easy way out and you say, we're all going to die someday. I'm not giving up my Doritos. That's laziness. And that's you saying that you're okay accepting a lesser standard of life. And I'm not okay with that. I love life. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my body. I love feeling good. I love my future children. I love all of the memories that I'm going to get to make with those children. I just got chill bumps. And my grandbabies. I love my future grandbabies and the memories that I'm going to make with them. I love the idea of having my parents with me to enjoy all of this until they're 80, 90, 100 years old. I love the idea of having my siblings around and enjoying my nieces and nephews. I love the idea of finding joy and fullness in my food. And I love the idea of the fullness and the vibrancy that this lifestyle, because this lifestyle cutting out seed oil lends itself to at least getting to know my local farmers, even if I don't become a farmer myself, which you guys know is the plan for me. But even if you don't want to, the joy of a farmer's market on a warm spring Sunday morning, the taste of a locally grown tomato, even if it's not homegrown, locally grown, that vibrant yellow butter from the grass-fed cows down the street that you spread on your homemade bread. These things are very much obtainable for everybody. There's nobody who's exempt from this. Everybody has the opportunity. Some are, less financially available for this, and you have to take it step by step and little by little. It's not feasible to just do a complete overhaul. Even for me, even though I did a complete overhaul, I had already kind of started when I did the whole pesticide journey. So I feel like that doesn't even really count. Even though I did cut seed oil cold turkey, I was kind of already on my way and already had a lot of these skills figured out ahead of time. If you're hearing about this right now from me and you don't have any of those skills in place, that's okay, little by little. And just think of it as, even if you can't cut seed oils cold turkey, you can very quickly decrease them. Learn how to make sandwich bread. Learn how to cook dinner from scratch with whole ingredients. And right there, you've cut out a ton. Learn how to learn to enjoy healthy snacks so that you're not relying on that energy bar, that granola bar, that full of sugar and seed oil energy drink, or afternoon pick-me-up. Don't go to the vending machine. Don't run through the Taco Bell drive-thru. And guys, I'm going to make a whole separate video for sugar, but sugar is not quite in the same danger zone as seed oils. Sugar is bad for the body. I'm not cutting sugar out altogether. I'm cutting seed oils altogether. So I wanted to start with this, but stay tuned for the discussion on sugar. So guys, the books Deep Nutrition by Catherine Shanahan, Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon and Mary Enig, excellent places to start. I recommend, let me think about this for a second. If you are somebody who is a hard sell, if you know yourself and you know that you're not easily convinced, because that's me, I'm not easily convinced. I can be swayed one way or the other. I'm not an impossible sell. I'm a hard sell. I need to really believe in something before I can get behind it. If you're like me, start with Deep Nutrition, because this is going to be this is gonna be the thing that you're like, yep, nope, I'm convinced, I'm sold, say no more. And if you're somebody who's like, yeah, no, I jump on bandwagons pretty easy, not faulting you, that's cool. Everybody has their own personality. If you're somebody who's an easy sell, start with Nourishing Traditions. Or if you're somebody who has heard about this before and you're like, yeah, okay, I know that they're bad for me. I don't really understand it completely. I don't really need to understand it completely, but I do need a little guidance in terms of where to go from here. This is what you need, because this book is half the sky is falling, half here's what you do about it. Here are recipes. Here are practical ways to fit this into your everyday life. And if you're like me and you need to start with deep nutrition, then you need to also get Nourishing Traditions, because this is the how, this is the why, this is the how-to. But if you don't necessarily think you need deep nutrition, at least get Nourishing Traditions, because this is incredible. And I've already started implementing some of the things that I'm reading in here. All right, you guys, so I've been putting this video off for weeks because I've been working a lot of overtime at work, and I needed to be able to really wrap my head around this, because this is a lot, and I know it's a lot. I'm very well aware that this is big and hard to swallow. But this channel, this YouTube channel that I've created, although I didn't know it at the time of me creating it, I'm realizing as I'm being taken down this path and I'm on this journey, this is important and this needs to be shared. And although my platform is not huge, I don't care. I don't care if I tell if 3 people get something from this. 3 people, 300 people, 3,000 people, I don't care. I need somebody to hear this, because this has changed my life. And that one person who told me about this, we don't know each other. She changed my life. So I am realizing this information needs to be shared in whatever capacity that it can be. And so although this video was, the sky is falling, and I'm not coming to you right now as you're watching this with a ton of solutions, they're coming. I have plenty. I prayed about this, and yesterday morning I was furiously writing in my idea book, because the ideas were just crashing into me like waves on a shore. I have so much content coming that's going to support this entire journey. And so please stick around. If this struck a chord with you and you've not subscribed, please subscribe, because we can do this together. We can go down this path together and start working towards a healthier world that we can at least instill in our family and friends. Even if we don't instill it in anybody else, we can at least instill it in our family and friends. And I think it's funny because I jumped into homesteading without fully understanding the why. And I think that that's so how God works. He put these passions on my heart and these desires on my heart. And then now that I'm getting into it, is slowly starting to pull back the curtain on the why. Why are you doing this? And I think that if it had been the opposite, it would have been very paralyzing and very scary. And I think doing it in this way, this gentle way, has been him saying, you can do this. Look, you're already doing it. It's easy. You just keep going. You keep doing better. Keep making better choices. And it just, I don't know, it just has seemed to fall into place so naturally. And I hope that it can for you as well. So come on this journey with me. And as God continues to pull back the curtain, I'll pull it back for you. And we can make changes and do better together. So again, subscribe if you haven't, please. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments. I know that I did not get very heavy into the science. So if there's anything in particular that I've said that you need more information on, let's chat. I'm happy to chat. If you have very specific questions, I can give you page numbers. I can give you articles that I've read. My mom is constantly texting me articles. I've read many things. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. Let's chat. I'm happy to. And guys, my new end to my videos that I got from getting my new homestead name just seems so appropriate in this moment with this topic. You guys, have faith and keep moving forward. Bye.